Hello. Starting off, we have Dante's Inferno, 7.8. The book was very well written. The word choices that this guy uses is wonderful, very descriptive. Some of them I didn't know, a little too big for me, but it obviously wasn't written for someone of my small brain size. The concept of exploring hell and the different layers of it is very interesting. It grabbed me immediately. I was so very interested in it. And the way that this guy describes it, it makes you feel like you're right next to Dante, feeling the heat against your skin. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Moby Dick, 7.2.
A lot of it was very boring boat talk, and I knew that that was going to be the case going into the book. The very first half of it is mainly just backstory and more insight on how boats work and how life on boats is not wonderful, not fun to say the least. Throughout the book, it tells a very interesting story, a game of cat and mouse, if you will, as Moby tries to find his dick. The Divine Comedy, 2.9. There wasn't a single knock-knock joke, which kind of threw me off, but at the end, it made me question whether all the actions that I do every day is good or inherently evil. Then a customer walked in while I was writing the script, so I stopped thinking about that really quick. Catch 22, 1.2. It was nothing like the TV game show that has a very closely related name to it, which I was hoping for, but whatever. It was more about war. War is bad, army's bad, fighting bad, boo. Lord of the Rings, 7.3. Lots of really big words. Not that that's a bad choice, but having to stop reading, go into Google to understand a word and go back into it kind of broke the immersion a little bit. The man who ran the kingdom being made out of pure gold rings was a very interesting take. I appreciate it. It was very cool, just very interesting. The author's obsession with little hairy men with their feet out all the time kind of threw me off, but Gollum was cool, so I'll give him that. The Sun Also Rises, 1.0. Yeah, and so does the moon. You don't need an entire book to tell me that. I know. Things Fall Apart, 1.2. Yeah, and duct tape puts them back together. What are we doing here? Are we just publishing anything? Come on. Frankenstein, 8.9. What an incredible concept, taking the loss of life and turning it anew. Even if it doesn't go as planned to Dr. Frankenstein and he ends up being punished for playing God, it is still a very great story of science being taken to new heights. Heights that make you question if you've lost your sense of humanity, looking down at all the other humans that look so small from how high up you stand on your achievements. The Odyssey, 6.2. I was kind of hoping it would be somewhat similar to the game God of War, but it was not. It was full of very large and hard to pronounce names. I kind of started giving people nicknames, like the Tall One, the Horny One, and the One Who Ate His Son. Alice in Wonderland, 8.9. This isn't really fair because I have watched the movie and grown up, this is my sister's favorite book, so I know a lot about it, but let's do this anyways. The cat was awesome, being able to just float around, be purple, and be a cat, that's kind of my dream. So that's awesome. I'd love to have him as a pet, but unfortunately I think Gamby and Missy would be kind of jealous, so not a good idea. I've always loved the Mad Hatter in any story that he is in, be it this story or Batman or whatever it is. I love the concept of him. He's just so cool. A mad guy, usually revolving around the idea of time and a big funky hat. What else could you ask for? Queen's a bitch, but the twins are kind of cool. I forget everybody else besides maybe a chess piece or two that like to walk around. I don't know. But if this video gets 100 likes by the end of the year, I will get the same teacup tattoo that my sister had, and I will show you whenever that happens. So make it happen. The Little Prince, 6.8. Basically, Rick and Morty, but on an asteroid instead of a spaceship. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Invisible Man, 4.4. Boy, was that man invisible. I love when they made all the jokes like, oh, I see what you're doing there, and see you later. That always got a chuckle out of me. But I will say it was kind of gross how much of the story was told inside the women's bathrooms. That could have been left out, I'll be honest with you. I just didn't enjoy that very much. Animal Farm, 8.6. So Donald Trump got turned into a pig and does pig things, and Elon Musk got turned into Squealer, who is another pig, and they still kiss each other's ass. Whatever. For Whom the Bell Tolls, 8.7. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, 5.6. Keep your opinions to your goddamn self, Shandy. Dune, 7.8. I haven't watched that movie yet, but when I do, I'll get back to you. The Old Man and the Sea, 9.1. I don't know why the idea of fishing entices me so much. I just love it. Even as a kid, I loved going fishing, but my dad or my brother would have to take the fish off of the hook for me because I was too scared of being sliced by the fin or just grossed out by the slimy texture of the creature that I have lured to the overworld. Regardless, the idea of someone spending hours on end, either alone or with family or friends, staring into the vast wonder of the life underwater, waiting for the vibration to travel through the pull into the hand that holds it, and the excitement that will flood their body as they rip a creature from its peaceful home. It sounds wonderful. I can't help but enjoy every second of fishing in a video game if it allows me to do so. Maybe one day I'll go back onto a pond or a lake and try it out, but for now, I will stick to stories like this book. The Idiot, 0.1. Alright, no need to write an entire book about how dumb I am. I understand, okay, I get it. Calm down. The Complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe, 9.2. I only read a few of his poems, and the ones that I did I very much enjoyed. Of course, you have The Heartbeat in the Floor and The Raven. Those are wonderful stories. My sister read a lot of poetry, and she would talk to me about Edgar Allan Poe, so when I finally heard his name in school, I paid attention to a reading assignment for once. I would like to read more of his work, but for now, I'm going to make videos. Charlotte's Web, 7.3. Charlotte low-key freaky, yo. Treasure Island, 8.3. I love pirates, and the idea of searching for treasure on the open sea, with your crew on a pirate ship, and there's just so many different paths that each pirate story can tell, and it's very fun to try to figure out which path each story is going to take. All Quiet on the Western Front, 4.5. I was going to make a joke and say something like, and on the Eastern Front they all play techno music, but I decided against that once I read that the book's actually about World War I, so there's that. Demons, 3.2. Dracula, 8.9. I love vampires so much, and Stroker's descriptive vocabulary can sometimes be a little bit hard to understand, but once it is understood, it draws a beautiful, vivid image. And it is insane to think about the fact that all of his ideas came from him as a child throwing little pebbles up at the bats that were flying in the night sky so that they would think that it's a bug and they would catch it and then throw it somewhere else. It blows my mind, honestly. The Color Purple, 10. Great color, honestly. Wonderful color. You know, all my homies love that color, and so do you, so good color. The Tales of Genji, 8.9. I love this story. The cat was just The Three Musketeers, 7.4. I would have at least given it a 9 if it was titled Kit Kats. Winnie the Pooh, 8.9. So at first, I had written down, this story is so cute. It is just a story about a little fella with his little bear fella, meeting other little nature fellas, and they're all being cute. And then Mikey told me that this is the status story of their childhood, and now I don't know what to believe. So, there's that. The Godfather, 9.4. In 1945, a war breaks out between 5 families due to an assassination attempt on a kingpin. The families go to war, and one Papa John stands on top amongst Michael Caesar, Lamar Noyd, Pizza Pete, and Chef Marco. Sherlock Holmes, 8.4. Holmes is cool. Kind of like Batman, but without the money and the powers, you know. Neato. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 3.4. One what? Also, have you seen a cuckoo? They look silly. They look like a pigeon trying to be a sparrow. I don't get it. The Secret History, 7.3. Do you ever wonder what not only the American but all of the world's governments are hiding from their civilians? What secrets are the governments hiding from us and keeping to themselves? What are they not trying to let us know? I wonder about this all the time. How much do we not know about the planet that we live on? Anyways, this story has nothing to do with that. Weisenberg, Ohio, 3.9. The pages were all blank. I enjoyed my time sifting through the white nothingness as my mind wandered on the process of potatoes spreading their sprouts throughout the soil. Pippi Longstocking, 0.4. When I last dyed my hair red, I put my hair in pigtails and I went to work, unknowing that for the next 2 weeks I would be called Pippi Longstocking. I hate her. The Good Earth, 7.7. The Good Earth is a very good book to read if you are doubting your existence. The idea that there are two universes, one full of positivity and peace and the other of evil and destruction, to one day meet to try to convince the other that their way is right, is an insane concept to try to wrap my mind around. Of Mice and Men, 6.2. We were told to read this book in school, and of course I did not, but SparkNotes taught me well. Through all of the trouble that George went through, taking care and living with Lenny, to eventually have to shoot him so that the mob or the police or sheriffs will not get to him first is heartbreaking. The first time that I read this story, I thought that he just didn't want to drag him around anymore. In middle school, I learned the term mercy killing, and I thought that was a bit of a heavy topic to learn as a child, but what do I know? I am no teacher. I'm just a kid who doesn't read the books assigned to him. Where the Wild Things Are, 10. I love this book so much. I'm going to get a tattoo of it, and I cannot wait. Read the book, watch the movie, play the games. You're going to love it. White Noise. Thank you so much for watching. I know that this video was very different from my normal content, but I hope that you're at least going to enjoy it and that it's going to get more than 3 views. This took a while to make. If you have any fun stories or books that you want me to read or rate without reading, please tell me in the comments and I promise I'll look at them. I don't know if I'll make another video about this, but I will look at them. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Peace. That's a wrap.